Good evening. Welcome to the Township of Abington's Board of Commissioners meeting for Thursday, June 14th, 2018. And may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioners Meyer. Here. Rogers.
Here.
Rouses.
Here.
Lucido. Here. Sanchez. Here. Thompson.
Here.
Schreiber.
Here.
Becker.
Here.
Spiegelman.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Gillespie. Here. Capone.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Here. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to deviate slightly from your agenda in front of you. We have presentations at this time, and first I'd like to call on Commissioner Dennis Sapone, who has a presentation for one of his constituents.
Good evening, folks. Just 3 short years ago, this young man was before us when he turned 100. Now, Mr. Weber has just turned 103 years old. He is the most senior resident and veteran in Ardsley. He also served... served in the Battle of the Bulge, as well as my father did.
Wow.
So at this point, I'm going to present you with the citation, Mr. Weber. And just to let the folks know, these are the seniors and veterans that I defend and protect every day of my life. And I will continue to do that for as long as I live. This is the reason right here, folks, right here. A proud Abington community celebrates the first 103 years of a great Abington resident, Mr. Joseph Weber. We are proud of all who have accomplished in your life and for your support of your community, Ardsley. Happy 103rd birthday, Mr. Weber. They say thank you. Thanks, Mr. Weber. God bless now. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Sapone, and thank you, Mr. Joseph Weber, and to Mr. Weber's family. Thank you very much. May we please have another round of applause for Mr. Weber. Thank you, Commissioner Sapone, for those highlights of Mr. Weber being a veteran and also having been at the Battle of the Bulge.
Thank you.
Thank
One
you.
thing I forgot to mention, Mr. Weber still bakes. This gentleman still bakes, believe it or not.
Again, thank you, Commissioner Sapone. At this time, we have a presentation, and I'd like to call on Commissioner Drew Rothman.
Is it on? All right. Tonight, we have multiple presentations to the family of Captain Samuel Schultz. I met Captain Schultz's family. I met his mother, Julie, on my first day ever knocking on doors. And Julie, I believe you were the first person that was home that I ever met. So you and your family hold a special place in my heart. And the Board of Commissioners has a citation that I'll read that we'll present to you. And then we do have some representatives from some of the other elected offices in the area and throughout the state that will also present. Citation reads as follows. Whereas Marine Captain Samuel Schultz, who was born at Abington Hospital, is an Abington Senior High School 2008 graduate, a Penn State University class of 2012 graduate, and who enrolled in the Navy ROTC program while at Penn State University before choosing the United States Marine Corps upon his graduation. And whereas Captain Schultz, whose work ethic and commitment to volunteerism and service spent his first year in the Navy ROTC program without a scholarship, and who, through hard work, a pursuit of extracurricular activities, deployed his incredible work ethic, and through his service to people in Thon, Habitat for Humanity, and in volunteering at football concession stands, was able to secure a scholarship. And whereas Captain Schultz's sense of adventure, high energy, and hard work propelled him as a flyer when he was assigned to the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing's 465th Squadron out of Miramar Air Station in San Diego. Now, therefore, this 14th day of June 2018 be marked and remembered as the day one of Abington's own, Captain Samuel A. Schultz, is honored as a 3rd-generation pilot who gave his life in service of all citizens of this great country, and is herewith recognized by this formal expression of gratitude and thanks by the Township Manager and the Township Board of Commissioners of the Township of Abington.
Commissioner Rothman, there were other presentations. Did you want to announce them in the order that you want to have them come up? Thank you.
Sure. Next, we have a presentation from the Office of the Attorney General, and I believe it'll be Anthony Luker that'll be presenting this next citation.
To the Schultz family, the Township Board of Commissioners, and all who are assembled here this evening, good evening. I bring you greetings from the Office of the Attorney General under the direction and leadership of Attorney General Josh Shapiro. Captain Sam Schultz, we mourn his loss, we honor his life, and we celebrate his legacy. A great young man whose contributions go beyond words. Someone who was truly committed to service over self and epitomized what it means to be a great individual. Again, I bring you this message personally from our State Attorney General, who would have loved to have been here tonight, but would like you to know that his thoughts and prayers are with you continuously each and every day. So I just want to take an excerpt from this citation, and that excerpt is as follows. The words that describe Sam: fun-loving, down-to-earth, intelligent, and one who had the ability to brighten up a room. Well, let's just know that his light will still shine, and it will shine on forever. And we will do him a favor by continuing to move forward with the legacy that he set out for us to follow on with on his behalf. Again, thank you so much, and I would like to present this citation on behalf of Attorney General Josh Shapiro, which is given under the Attorney General's hand and seal for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Thank you so much.
The next presentation will be by Scott Heppard from Congressman Brendan Boyle's office.
Thank you, Commissioner Rothman, and thank you, Commissioners, for having us this evening. On behalf of Congressman Boyle, I'd like to present this copy of a statement that was read into the congressional record today. One of the privileges of serving in Congress is that you're able to have statements read in effectively so they're part of the permanent congressional record. And earlier today, Congressman Boyle had this statement read into the record on behalf of Captain Schultz and his family on your behalf to be part of the congressional record. So on behalf of Congressman Brendan Boyle and the United States Congress and a grateful nation, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for your son's service and to present this copy of that statement on Congressman Boyle's behalf. So thank you.
Senator Art Haywood is not able to be here tonight, but he will be reaching out to you directly, and you got the citation, okay. And we have our state representative, Madeline Dean, here as well to present you with an additional citation.
Thank you to the Board of Commissioners for doing this important moment of remembrance. Mr. and Mrs. Schultz, Brother Brian, on behalf of Abington Township and Upper Dublin Township, where I represent, we honor you, we honor your handsome son and his spirit of service and sacrifice and selflessness. It leaves somebody like me in awe. I can't imagine his commitment to his country. We seek it in ourselves, but his commitment to country, to his soldiers, to those who were above him, and to those who fought below him as a captain, we just thank you. Our heart breaks for you, breaks for our country, and I just offer you my sympathies. I brought a resolution that we passed in the Pennsylvania House, and I'll read you a small part of that if I may. It reads, the House of Representatives Condolence Resolution. Whereas the House of Representatives of Pennsylvania wishes to honor the memory of Captain Samuel A. Schultz, who served proudly as a member of the United States Marine Corps and valiantly gave his life in the line of duty at the age of 28 on April 13, 2018. Born in Abington, Captain Schultz graduated from Abington High School in 2008. He enrolled in the United States Naval Reserve Officers Training Corps while a student at Penn State University, and upon his graduation in 2012, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. Lauded as the third generation of his family to become a pilot, Captain Schultz was assigned to the 3rd Marine Wing 465th Squadron out of Myanmar Air Station, San Diego, California. He had served in Florida, Texas, North Carolina, and also deployed with the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit in California. He was a superb soldier with great integrity and a consummate team member with strong leadership skills. Captain Schultz was known for his adventurous spirit and love of sailing, scuba diving, surfing, skydiving, and riding a motorcycle. He will be forever remembered as serving our country with honor, pride, and loyalty, and for making the greatest of all sacrifices in defense of the cause of freedom. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania proclaim with enduring sorrow the passing of Captain Samuel A. Schultz and extend heartfelt condolences to his parents, Mitchell and Julie, brother Eric, grandparents Arnold, Phyllis Rossoff, and many other family members and friends who loved him so. This is a copy of that resolution, and I offer it to you, and it comes from the House of Representatives, from the Speaker, and from all my colleagues. We thank you for your sacrifice. We thank you for your son's life and service, and we hope that we honor him each day. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you to all our elected officials, Attorney General Josh Shapiro's office, Congressman Brendan Boyle's office, State Senator Art Hayward's office, and our State Representative Madeline Dean. And I just think it's appropriate at this time if everyone would just stand and have a moment of silence for Captain Schultz. Thank you. Commissioner Rothman, thank you very much. And to the Schultz family, our condolences and our heartfelt prayers go with you. Did anyone from the family want to say anything this time? Could someone hand the gentleman the microphone, please? Thank you, Anthony.
I just wanted to express our thanks for all of your kindness and support during this very difficult period. Basically.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Okay, the family is free to, if they want to leave at this time. Thank you very much. I'd just like to digress and go back to the board president announcements. There were none at this time, so we'll move on in our program to public comment on agenda items. So the floor is open to anyone from the public who wants to comment on agenda items that are on our agenda for this evening. Thank you.
Sad. Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane. So I have two main items that I'd like to comment on tonight. One of them is the vacant property ordinance. The whole vacant property thing is, there's no way, I guess, to get that sun out of your eyes.
Did you
from
want
here,
to
right?
stand on this side?
Yeah. Shall I take this?
Yes.
Sit on? Yeah.
Better?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's better. So the vacant property ordinance now is now putting another stipulation on that the vacant properties have to get a comparable analysis, comps, or they have from a proper realtor, or they have to get an appraisal. So another expense for them. The problem with this is, again, that the basic tools that we have are not being used, where first we have a property maintenance code. It's almost never enforced, and as you heard me say before, our code person sometimes doesn't even know whether the code applies or not after it's been to the meeting several times. So that has to be fixed. Secondly, this is a burden for these people, and many times they're in difficulty getting things sold. If their property is in good condition and not in violation, it is not, in my opinion, up to the township to decide that they need to make more money. I mean, I think that's an abuse of property rights, and I think that the code violations should be dealt with, and that you should start there. This ordinance should not be passed, in my opinion, and I would like to see that happen. The second thing is the waivers of the fee agreement between the township. I do not even believe that this is legal. In a first-class township, you have a requirement to show separately and distinctly all the debts due and owing to the township, all receipts and expenditures, and all appropriations made by the Board of Commissioners and the sums under them respectively. This would not do that. And it doesn't say afterwards, unless you all agree to hide them and not have them. I put in a right to know to get the things that have been waived. They put that on a legal review, needless to say, so I don't have it tonight. But I have been told that if there's no income, there's no line item. That's a disgrace. That is going to harm our senior citizens. That is going to harm all of us because there is already an abuse. And we talked about the vacant properties. I have the township actually did a plan for one of the properties while they were in the middle of negotiating with a buyer. And that plan was done by somebody in the township. There is abuse of the township resources all the time. I have seen it many times, and I could name you those. Commissioner Luker, if you'd like to sit down and talk and learn about what's happening and fix it, that would be great. But this is a disaster for both your residents, the Government Accountability Office, the GAO, has regulations that this violates. The Pennsylvania Statute 53 with municipal and quasi-municipal corporations violated. Municipality Authorities Act violated. If you allow the sewers to be waived, and the sewer is a separate entity and can't get reimbursement from the township, it's not supposed to, okay, that means that the residents are going to have their sewer taxes increased, and then the township will have extra money to spend somewhere. This is not okay. All of this is not okay. And this waiver should not go forth, and I believe you had false information given to you, both in print and orally, and there's also a statute that protects against that. And I would like to see this literally put on the shelf until you've examined all these legalities. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments from the public on agenda items for this evening? If there are none, I'd like to move right on to our consent agenda and call on Vice President Stephen Klein.
Thank you, President Luker. As in the past, we'll be reading the motion for the consent agenda. If there's any board member that would like to have one of the consent agenda items removed, say so after the motion. I would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through M, and then I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, Vice President Stephen Klein, and that takes care of our consent agenda. And now we move on to unfinished business, PA 05061418, and call on Commissioner John Spiegelman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under unfinished business, we have item PA 05, and that is a motion to approve the agreement by and between the Abington School District and the Township of Abington as recited and contained for the purposes of Township waiver of fees and School District waiver of permit fees. And I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Commissioner Klein.
Yes, President Luker, so we had talked about this at the committee meetings, and I believe it was agreed upon, but since it's in our agenda the way it is, I would like to have the reference to the 24-hour relay on the 6th line of the second page removed from the agreement as we discussed, or as I discussed, I should say, in at the committee meetings as the 24-hour relay, although a great event is sponsored by CAT and not by the township, or specifically by the school district. So with that being said, I'd like to make that amendment, and I'd also, so I'd make that amendment, but I do have one other question.
Go ahead.
So I'd make that amendment. And then the question is in our
Second.
packet, in our packet, there's the PowerPoint presentation of the community partnership from March. I'm assuming that's not referenced in the agreement anywhere?
That is correct. That was for informational purposes only. It is not an exhibit to the agreement.
Because that had other references to other nonprofits that are not directly affiliated with the township. But since it's not part of the agreement, that's fine. So I'll leave it at that. I'd just like to make that amendment.
And it's been seconded by Commissioner Spiegelman. Are there any other comments or questions by commissioners? Any from staff? I'm sorry.
Lugar?
Commissioner Myers.
I certainly understand what Vice President Klein is saying. However, CAPT is citizens and police together. Although the police department of the township doesn't fund CAPT, CAPT's a huge part of what CAPT does is to support the police department, and that 24-hour relay, all of the funds from that are what pay for the DARE program. And while we don't financially support CAPT, it's certainly sponsored by the police department, and and the whole reason for its being was to provide funding for things that wouldn't or shouldn't come out of taxpayer money. So I want everyone to understand that before they vote on leaving that out.
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, I agree with everything that Commissioner Meyer says. But the fact still remains, it is a nonprofit organization separate from the township, and the agreement that we're talking about tonight is an agreement between the school district and the township. And any references to other nonprofits, regardless of whether they are beneficial to the township or not, should not be part of this agreement.
Okay, any other comments? Commissioner Schreiber.
I have a question. Is CAPT a 5013C?
Yes?
So it is a nonprofit. It's not like a part of the police department or anything like that. It is a separate 5013C.
Correct?
Yeah, okay.
But
I
like...
Yeah, no, I
like-
understand.
Yeah, like PAL.
And it's a great organization. I have
Right.
nothing against it.
I know we're not debating that, but the fact that a specific event supports the DARE program that police officers teach in the elementary schools, that pays for that.
Okay, Mr. Manfredi, and then Commissioner Vahey, and then Commissioner Gillespie.
I'll defer my comments till after the commissioners.
Okay, Commissioner Vahey, and then Commissioner Gillespie.
Just to clarify, and this is a question for the solicitor, Mr. Clark.
Yes.
The reference to CAPT is in the recitals to the agreement.
Looking at that now. Yes.
Do the recitals have any binding effect on the township?
Well, normally in the recitals, you should reference them specifically later on. I would say that because of the way this is written, the fact that the recitals are a fair amount and there's only a couple of specific substantive sections and then a lot of boilerplate, that yes, they probably would have qualify as being part of the agreement.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Vahey?
Yes, that's not what I was expecting.
Probably answers
Yes,
all the
okay.
attorneys' questions
Commissioner
up here,
Gillespie?
but,
That's lawyer speak. Can
yeah, I was
you
going to say,
explain?
here we are. There's 5 lawyers, attorneys sitting up here, and there's a few of us that aren't. And that wasn't my question, but I'll start with that.
Normally, Commissioner Gillespie, Commissioner Vahey is right, that when something is in the recitals, the whereas clauses, then you're supposed to put that in the substance of the agreement. Rarely, you're not supposed to reference something in the recitals and then don't speak about it specifically unless you do it by reference. So Commissioner Vahey's point is, if it's only referenced in the recitals and then not anywhere else, does it have any full force and effect? And the way this agreement is written, I would say yes, it does, because I think there are only 2 substantive sections: township waiver of fees and district waiver of permit fees, and the rest of it is just what we commonly refer to as boilerplate, things about the term, the termination, the governing law, the amendment, the successors, the severability. So I would say yes, that it does, it is part of the agreement, even though it's not normally the way it should have been specifically referenced.
Commissioner
Okay, but-
Gillespie and then Commissioner
Yeah, that
Zapone.
wasn't my question, but thank you.
Okay.
So if this is left out, we will be paying fees, or CAPT will be paying fees for the 24-hour relay? Is that?
If I,
I would hate to vote against something that I'm originally for, but just for something like this,
They can still waive it on an individual basis if they
well, I
care
thought
to.
we couldn't waive.
Okay, why don't we hold up and let Manager Manfredi speak first?
it's my understanding in my brief history that the school district and CAPT has a tremendous relationship. And while I believe Dr. Sickle is here, I think the only thing in question here is whether or not CAPT is in the agreement. It does not preclude CAPT and the school district from continuing the relationship or for the school district to waive fees for CAPT. It's only removing it from this current agreement. So Dr. Sickle's here, perhaps she could speak to that, or whether or not they would continue that relationship directly with CAPT. That might answer Commissioner Gillespie's question.
So before I call on Dr. Sickle, are you saying CAP should be able to respond to this or answer this, or can Dr.
No, what I'm saying is removing it from this agreement does not preclude
Okay,
the school
I'm sorry.
district from waiving the fees for CAPT or any of the activities that they conduct. That's my understanding. A solicitor can agree or disagree.
Okay,
I agree.
Commissioner Vahey, go ahead.
I think to Commissioner Klein's point, since CAPT is an independent nonprofit, it is not an entity of the township can't agree on behalf of CAPT. And so while, I don't think anyone here would wish that CAPT is suddenly charged fees for holding a 24-hour relay, the point is that legally we can't make an agreement for them.
Okay, Commissioner Hecker, and then Commissioner Spiegelman,
I mean,
and then Zapone.
even if one wanted to keep this in, I think the language as it's written is incorrect, because it says the district waived payments due from the township to the district for the following, including the 24-hour relay. We're not responsible for permit fees for the 24-hour relay.
Commissioner Spiegelman?
Exactly. It's certainly, I don't think anyone thinks that waiving fees for CAPT isn't worthy and appropriate. It's just a question of whether or not it belongs in this particular agreement. And it doesn't. It belongs in its own agreement. Again, completely worthy. There's no reason at all that CAPT should pay those fees. And I don't think anyone would disagree with that. It just doesn't belong here in this document. It's not the right place.
Commissioner Zapone, did you have a comment?
Yeah, two quick things. Following what Commissioner Spiegelman said, can we get the school district to make a commitment while they're here? So we can get this all out in the open, all rectified, and everybody goes away with a full understanding what's actually going to take place. And number two, has anybody calculated the amount of the permit fees that you folks are going to waive tonight? Do we have a number on that? 100,000, 200,000? I'd like to get that number, if possible.
Mr. Manfredi, do we have any figures to pass on?
Yes. Based upon what was submitted prior to when this first came up, the number is somewhere about 550,000.
Well, I mean,
To your first question, Commissioner, before I move on to Commissioner Bowman, Commissioner Zapone asked a question of Dr. Sickle. Did you want to make a comment, Dr. Sickle?
I don't think we should be entertaining
Is that microphone on at the podium?
Do you want me to use this one or that one?
No, that's on.
That should be on.
Thank you very much for letting me address that. When our solicitor's office and the Board of School Directors originally wrote that agreement, they did put in the 24-hour relay because that is a very large permit that the school district does waive every year on behalf of the CAPT organization and the 24-hour relay. After I attended the last meeting, I did go back to the Board of School Directors. If you want that striked out, we will be happy to strike that out. The board has no intention of charging CAPT, but we put it in there to memorialize that for CAPT. and that was why it was included. So it really is your pleasure. If you, Mr. Manfredi has 2 drafts, one with it in and one with it out. So we would like to see the agreement approved, and you make a decision as to how you would like it to be. And once we hear back, the Board of School Directors, after your approval of the version you like, with it in or with it out, the Board of School Directors will approve that at its next meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Bowman.
I agree with Commissioner Klein's amendment for the reasons that he stated, and I would vote in favor of that amended agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from commissioners? Commissioner Myers.
Thank you. I will also be voting for the amendment. I just wanted everyone to understand what that 24-hour relay did. I don't think that whether it's in the agreement or not in the agreement, it's going to affect the final vote tonight. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Commissioner Klein.
I did just want to, outside of the amendment, just follow up. The solicitor's office, I mean, Michael, you've reviewed this whole agreement and find no fault in anything that relates to the township code or township or first-class township code or Pennsylvania law.
Township is completely within its right to enter into this agreement.
And along the lines of, I think, what other commissioners said at the committee meetings, I think this is a no-brainer. I mean, it's nonsensical for the township to not have an agreement like this where we're charging another taxing entity of the same taxpayers that we represent for fees that are just going to be basically doubled up. The school district's going to have to pay for them. They're going to go roll down the line, and it's going to come back to the taxpayer one way or the other. So I see no reason why the township should not continue to have this agreement with the school district and memorialize it in such a way.
Thank you. Any other comments from commissioners? Any from staff? If there are none, we're ready to vote. And as I understand it, we'll vote on the amended motion, which moved and seconded. And that is the motion to approve the agreement as listed with the removal of the 24-hour relay. Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. If everyone is clear on that, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Did everyone get that? Motion passes, and please turn off all cell phones. Okay, so the motion passes as listed, okay? Thank you very much, Commissioner Spiegelman. We'll move on to new business and
Excuse
the
me,
administrative code. I'm sorry.
That was just for the amendment, but this, as far as waiving the
That was for the amended motion.
the permit fees, is that all bundled with this, or that's separate? We were voting on the amendment. Now we need to vote on this, waiving the permit fees.
Commissioner Zappone is correct.
Okay.
The original motion was written, and I apologize. The original motion was presented. Commissioner Klein made an amendment, so that 15-0 vote was to accept the amendment. Now the vote is to approve the agreement with the Abington Township School District as amended. And again, I apologize.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay.
And that no's on behalf of my seniors and veterans. No.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to new business, the Administrative Code and Land Use Committee. Commissioner Ben Sanchez, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 3 items this evening. ACL 1 would be a motion to approve the subdivision application by Harice Yaron, Jennifer Park, Scott Tadelman, and Jamie Fry, owners of the properties located at 936 Morden Road and 1407 Mill Road in Meadowbrook, Pennsylvania. However, at the request of the applicant, I will make a motion to reschedule this for the July meeting of the Board of Commissioners, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to postpone or move this to the July meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes.
Next, we have ACL 2. This is a motion to approve the land development application for a 3-lot subdivision and land development by Mr. Patrick Deacon, Popper and Deacon Incorporated, at 1768 Kimball Avenue, Willow Grove, PA, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners, from staff? There are none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
Finally, Mr. President, ACL 5, this is a motion to approve the Retained Realty Incorporated Confidential Settlement Agreement and Release, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Comments from commissioners, from staff? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
Mr. President, that concludes the Administrative Code and Land Use Committee's business for this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. At this time, Public Safety Committee, Commissioner Lori Schreiber, Chair.
Thank you, President Luker. PS3 is a motion to approve and recommend the adoption of Resolution 2018-026, a resolution of the Township of Abington, County of Montgomery, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, establishing a uniform policy and procedure for considering certain traffic regulations and the installing of proper signs and markings, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
And PS4 is a motion to advertise ordinance number 2157, amending Chapter 156, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 14, Stop Intersections, and Article 3, Parking Regulations at Sections 25, Parking Prohibited at All Times, No Parking Between Signs, No Parking Here to Corner, and 28 Special Purpose Parking Zones to add stop intersections on King Road, Garden Road, and Wesley Avenue, add no parking here to corner signs on Keswick Avenue, repeal no parking here to corner signs on Fair Hill Avenue, add special purpose parking restrictions on Rockwell Road, and repeal special purpose parking on Arlington Avenue. All have been fully set forth in the ordinance, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes.
Concludes our agenda this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Shriver. Commissioner John Spiegelman, Chair of the Public Affairs Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Affairs has one item tonight, and after I read the motion, if you would indulge, I think Manager Manfredi has a comment that he would like to make. Our one item is item PA02. This is a motion to adopt ordinance number 2156, amending Chapter 126, Real Estate Registry, Vacant Properties, at Section 126.4, Registration Statement and Fees, Local Agent, Subsection D, Waiver of Registration Fee, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Did you want to make a comment before we vote?
Yes,
Manager Manfredi.
just as a reminder, at the committee meeting, it was discussed, there were three items, two in particular, an amendment to add to 1.D.1 or township manager, where there could be a waiver of fees by the commissioners. At the Vacant Property Review Board, it was recommended by those present that or township manager would be an alternative acceptable. And in speaking with Commissioners Spiegelman and Schreiber, and then as discussed at the committee meetings, that was one of the changes. And the other change was to 3.III to add or add after and before valuation the words commercially reasonable. So we talked about this at the committee meeting, but there was a lot of discussion, and I just wanted to make sure that these were the two items we talked about, that if you were to consider those, you should also make an amendment to advertise with these changes as well, if you're so inclined to do so, because you did not do so at the committee meetings.
Can you repeat the first one again?
On 1D1, add or township manager after commissioners and before May, because the way it's structured.
That's for which portion? What? I don't have it in front of me.
Waiver of fees.
Waiver of fees. Okay.
So it would either be the commissioners, the way it's written right now, only the commissioners can waive any fees. And inserting or township manager would be the township manager. And the other is the commercially reasonable. It's really up to you.
Commissioner Schreiber.
Did you say the second part we have to re-advertise?
No, if you
Oh,
include this tonight, you won't have to re-advertise.
Okay,
It's not substantive.
okay.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if anyone has any other comments. I'd like to make a motion to make the changes as described by the manager. I don't want to have to actually recite them because I'll get them wrong, but
Okay, so that I don't fumble this twice. Does that mean we have to vote on the motion, and then are you voting, are you make?
You vote on the amendment.
Yeah, and then we vote on the amended ordinance.
Right.
Two steps.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to amend the motion. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we'll vote on the motion.
Well,
As
hold on, I
amended.
did have one comment to make.
Go ahead, on the amended motion?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's amended already, so it doesn't make a difference. But my only comment would be, I mean, we talked about this a couple months ago, about waiving fees outside of what we just dealt with the school district for other types of permits, not that this is a permit, but this is a fee raised through the vacancy review, through the vacancy ordinance. We're now having that as a potentially being waived by the township. I think we should revisit the fact that we should create a policy on what fees are being waived outside of the vacancy review board. I mean, we're providing that ability for the manager to potentially waive fees that are related to the vacancy ordinance, but we balked on coming up with a policy that doesn't allow the manager to waive fees based on the Board of Commissioners' policy or philosophy going forward with other permits, specifically building permits. So that's my comment.
Okay. Any other comments? Now we have to vote. Okay, Commissioner Gillespie, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just confused. You would be able to waive fees without asking the commissioners?
That is correct. The discussion, I wasn't at the meeting, but in discussing this with commissioners and Commissioner Spiegelman, frankly, I support it being just the commissioners, but I'll allow Commissioner Spiegelman to talk to the expediency reasoning he had. And just as an aside, you will have at the July meeting the overall issue of fee waivers as well. We
And
just
this is
separated
for
that
vacant-
from.
This is just vacant
This is
properties.
just this one ordinance.
So what we voted on was the amended of just that portion of the motion.
Yes. It might be helpful for Commissioner Spiegelman to just describe his rationale as to why this amendment is in here.
In a short version.
Can he
It'll be
do
as long as
that
it needs to be.
in less than, go ahead. Go ahead, Commissioner Spiegelman.
Briefly, and thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's as the manager said, this is for expediency. We, in the Vacant Property Review Board, felt that certainly, you know, if it's not us expressly waiving the fees under our authority, which is not the case, then rather than extend things by having every potential waiver or every waiver that we approve, conditionally approve, come before the board, it's just a lot more expedient to have the option of having the manager waive those fees as a designated agent of the board. Simple as that.
Okay, Commissioner Schreiber, and then Zepone.
Go ahead, you can.
Up to how much do we, am I missing something? Up to how much, Rich? What is it? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, where did we set the threshold, actually? I don't have that in
Well,
front of me.
Manager Manfredi's looking it up. Commissioner Schreiber has a
Yeah.
question.
It starts out, I know, at $500, and it's graduated, so every 6 months, there's more fees put on if they have not filled the space. But I guess we'll get exact numbers in just a second. I was at the last meeting where this was discussed, so I'm fine with it being just the Board of Commissioners, quite frankly. But I guess the fear was by the committee that by the time they brought the possibility that a fee was imposed, and then somebody wanted it waived and had documentation to waive it, and then it comes on to the commissioners, and then by the time it would they wouldn't have an answer for several months about if that fee was going to get waived, and meanwhile you have a vacant building sitting there that's not being, that they don't know if they have to pay the fee or not. It's not really a fee, it's a, well,
It's
yeah.
So just for everyone's edification, I know it's in your binders, but just for simplicity, what it says is, upon written application, the owner, and upon satisfaction of the requirements set forth below, the Board of Commissioners may grant a waiver of the $500 registration fee referenced in paragraph C2 above. It goes on further. The waiver shall automatically expire after 6 months from the date the property first becomes vacant. Upon expiration of the waiver, all provisions of this chapter shall apply. No more than 4 waivers shall be granted per property. The waiver shall be granted if the owner satisfactorily demonstrates and it sets criteria. So the point is, it would be 500 each time to a maximum of 2,000.
Can I ask, what if there has been a vacancy review board? I shouldn't say that, but regardless of that, what are the circumstances where we're waiving fees?
If I may.
Go ahead.
Oh,
wait,
actually, you know
hold
what?
on, hold on.
We have our chair,
chair,
Bob Greaves here. If I may defer to Mr. Greaves.
Come to the microphone.
Come on
Bob.
up to the microphone.
Yeah, I can force them to do that. Yeah, this whole thing is very.
Oh, here we go. I think the thought process with respect to the fee waiver is that in terms of volume, I mean, we're looking at up to, I think we're up to about 24 properties right now. And it's, to be honest with you, I mean, it's a lot of minutia in terms of, you know, what people are asking for. A lot of this, some of these are, you know, just pretty common. People are making best efforts to market the properties. They have properties with people showing them and whatnot. And I think the feeling is that, you know, and again, it's up to you, but that you guys could be looking at a large number of these at every meeting in terms of trying to figure out, is somebody making a good faith effort? Should we waive a fee? Is the amount of the fee such that, you know, is that what you want to be spending your time on? But I'm just saying that at this point, it looks like there could be a fair number of those. I mean, another way to look at it is if it would make people more comfortable, maybe there would be some criteria that we could develop where after a certain point, you know, they would come up to the board. But it just seems that most of these are pretty, you know, pretty straightforward to be handled. With respect to, I think the second question is, what are some of the things, you know, why would we waive a fee? Well, good faith effort would be one of them. I mean, people are sitting there actively trying to market it, may just need more time. Sometimes it's, you know, just depending upon what the market looks like or how long, you know, how long it's taking to market a property. So, you know, that was the thought process behind it. I think the board had a discussion, our last meeting, I think, with John there. And, you know, I think that was the thought process for why we made the suggestion. I think we also made, as Township Manager mentioned, some suggestions of the language which we thought would help the board work through these as well.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers my question.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
If I can add one thing that speaks directly to Commissioner Schreiber's point. If we were to leave it as only the board, our board, with the authority to grant waivers, then we would really need to probably think about changing the Vacant Property Review Board meeting schedule, because right now, when we meet, which is the first Thursday of the month, it is almost always the day after committee meetings. So realistically, you're basically, you sort of have an automatic month lag before the next committee meetings.
That was the other thing I was actually going to mention, because, you know, I think the code enforcement folks are out there actively looking at these properties, doing inspections, having discussions, you know, writing up citations, whatever. By the time that gets up to the Vacant Property Review Board, which is also just a monthly meeting, I mean, there could be almost another lag there, a month, up to a month or more lag there. You know, if you're going to take additional time to come up here, I mean, you could be looking at, I think routinely, probably 2 to 3 months, probably, you know, is what you're going to be seeing in terms of being able to turn these around. So I think it's going to take some time.
Okay, Commissioner Zepone, and then Commissioner Gillespie.
Let me understand this. So, in other words, you have a vacant property, and they promise to have somebody in their building in a couple months. So, okay, that's fine. So the permit that we usually charge of $500, forget that. Now 2-3 months go by, there's nobody in there. Well, forget that $500. Why are we even doing this? If we have established over decades permit fees for this, why are we eradicating them? I don't understand that. It's like we're giving money away. I just don't understand the whole process here. To me, it just sounds like we're giving money away.
Let's let the manager comment. Did you have something to say,
Well,
Richard?
I see Commissioner Spiegelman.
No, I'm-
again. I just want to remind people, this same section goes on further to say, the waiver shall be granted if the owner satisfactorily demonstrates the following 4 things. 1, the owner is in the process of demolition, rehabilitation, or other substantial repair of the vacant building. And 2, the anticipated length of time of the demolition, rehabilitation, or other substantial repair of the vacant building. And 3, the owner is actively attempting to sell or lease the property at reasonable terms, including, underscored, a price reflecting fair market value during the vacancy period. And 4, all past due vacant registration fees, if any, and all other financial obligations and or debts owed to the township in connection with the vacant property have been paid. So the waiver of fees isn't an arbitrary or thing. It's the waiver shall be granted if these 4 things are demonstrated.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Gillespie.
Okay, so you said there's about, thank you, there's about 24 properties right now. I mean, I know of one in my ward that I don't think is being actively, that's Ward 13, actively marketed, and he knows I'm on the board. That's the problem. Anyway, so I was just wondering, how many are paying these fees now?
I mean, I don't have the statistics. I mean, we can get that. I mean, there are people that are paying the fees, and typically, I think when we've looked at these, we've tried to look at them from the standpoint, are people, if they're not making progress, if they're not cooperating with code enforcement, then, you would apply the fee. But if people are actively renovating the property or actively marketing the property, that might be a reason why you would do that.
This particular property, they did clean it up, but it's just, I know it's not being marketed, and...
Yeah, there's a whole range of this. I mean, you can look at these properties, and some of them are being actively marketed, and then, you've got the other end where I mean, it can be a bit of a struggle on part of the board to, try to get these. I mean, ultimately, we're trying to keep these properties from being, looked at as blighted or becoming blighted. But I think there's a range of action, I think, in terms of what people are doing, within that universe of properties that we're looking at.
It just seems if they're vacant that long, it's a real challenge for the area, and that's what I thought this, so I think the fees, if they're not moving it along, should be done, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
I think they are.
Let's let Commissioner Bowman comment, then back
I
to you, John.
understand now.
If the gentleman who's running the board and Commissioner Spiegelman feel that this is appropriate to add the manager to the situation, I agree with that. I'll be voting in favor of that.
Okay, Commissioner Spiegelman.
Sorry, I have my mic on there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowman. Ultimately, the overwhelming majority of the properties on the list do pay their fees. We're not talking about a huge number that request waivers. And again, I mean, there are strict criteria, so it is absolutely not on an arbitrary basis that these would be waived. The idea is, I mean, ultimately, the whole reason, because it hasn't actually been decades. It's only been, this ordinance is about 2 years old, 3 years old, and the only reason that we're not, the ordinance isn't a tool to just sort of squeeze property owners. We want to have the option to work with property owners. Ultimately, the goal is to get these properties either filled by the current owners or sold to someone who will fill them, but not sitting for decades empty, which is the case, as we all know, with some properties in the township. So this offers the whole notion of fee waivers, and thus, by extension, the idea of adding the manager to the list of authorities who can grant waivers is keeping our options open to be flexible and to work with these property owners towards that ultimate goal.
Okay. Is there any other comments? Everyone clear on that? Now, did you have another comment?
No, I was just agreeing with what Commissioner Spiegelman just said. The purpose of the fees was never really to make money. That's, for the township. We're trying to get the properties to be rented out and used. And so this is just, one tool, but we're hoping that nobody actually even gets to the point that they would need to have a fee put into place. It'd be better that they filled the property. So it's just used as a deterrent, but hopefully we don't need to use it.
Okay, thank you. Now, we voted on an amended motion initially, correct?
You voted on the amendments.
Amendment, and that was adding you as,
It's
Right.
added, or the township, as I mentioned, I'll get that specific language. Solicitor Gallagher has that, so
okay.
she has the language, but to the specific section.
Is your microphone on, Richard?
To the specific sections, add or township manager, and the other is to add after other and before valuation, commercially reasonable, and after commissioners. So that's it. Those two you voted on. So if you vote now on the ordinance, it will have those two amendments in it.
Okay. Is everyone straight on that? So now we're going to vote on the original motion that's on the floor.
As
Okay,
amended.
sorry. That's why I couldn't understand what you were saying. Your
As
microphone-
amended.
As
The
amended.
amended motion.
As amended.
As amended.
Yes. Say that into the microphone.
Okay, as amended. Okay, so is everyone clear? Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The motion passes.
Mr. President, that concludes the extensive agenda of the Public Affairs Committee.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We'll move on to the Finance Committee. Vice President Stephen Klein, Chair.
Thank you, President Luker. Township Treasurer Jay Blumenthal is absent today. Therefore, the Treasurer's report will be on file with the Manager's office if anybody is interested in reviewing it. We have FC 02051618, motion to approve the April expenditures as previously circulated to the board in the amount of $2,931,713.40, and salaries and wages in the amount of $1,779,566.91, and authorizing the proper officials to sign vouchers in payment of bills and contracts as they mature through the month of July 2018, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. May I have a roll call, please?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And that concludes the Finance Committee agenda.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And that concludes our formal agenda. At this time, we'll take public comments.
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane. You did a great, great disservice to all the residents of Abington tonight by putting potentially millions of dollars in, out of sight of the budget. Don't even show up, don't show up even in an audit. So when the auditor has nothing to see, the audit will look great. So this kind of agreement, the law didn't say that you could that you had to put things in their places unless you agreed that you really didn't want to put them in their places. And that's what you've done tonight. You've agreed that there's some things you just don't want to put in the budget properly and don't want to account for. And I believe it is illegal. Solicitor Clark said that the township is perfectly within its right to enter into this agreement, but Solicitor Clark is also the one who thought that Commissioner Klein and Contractor Klein had no conflict. He also is the one who wrote the MOU and then charged
Ms. Lehman,
again and
Ms.
again
Lehman,
and again.
you're going off the topic.
Well, that cost us millions, those
Come back
decisions.
to this subject.
They cost us millions. And this also is something that will cost, you're worried about senior citizens and veterans? All the residents will be charged. And nobody has explained that. And nobody has, and there were lies told about what the figures were, because the school continually said that they had a larger thing. If you add up what the school presented, it was substantially smaller than what the township had. And that kind of bogus math doesn't serve anybody. It was absolutely false testimony that was given, and nobody stood up and said, we need to have the facts in order to vote on this. So all of you are remiss in doing that. The vacant property owners, I just want to say that, again, you know, to put something like this away from the Board of Commissioners where these people could come in and appeal publicly when there is a disservice done, that also is not a good idea. And it's not a good idea to keep putting things in the hands of a few people. I remember when Larry Mateo had the EDUs in his head.
Ms. Lehman,
And
let's not
nobody could
mention
get them
names.
out.
Please, move on.
Well, those things are not okay. So at some point, you guys have to understand that it is better to have an open and transparent process and not put everything in the hands of a few people who are making decisions behind the scenes with no open and transparent process. So, and this is important for them. How the board was able to get back, all right, I'm gonna leave that one go. But I will just tell you that both of those things tonight were a disservice to the residents of Abington in a big way. And I like to hope that they're illegal, and I'm going to pursue that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments from the public? Sir? Name for the record and address, if you care to give it.
My name is Max. I'm with the International We Love You Foundation.
Could you repeat that?
My name is Max Rothstein. I'm with the International We Love You Foundation.
Okay.
So thank you so much for everything that you guys do for the community. The reason that we're here, we're an international organization. We're in 175 countries. We have about 150,000 volunteers. We do a lot of work in this area. We have about 70 volunteers locally in Abington. We worked with Jared Solomon over in Northeast Philadelphia to adopt Tarkin Park and to do cleanups over there. And also we're doing national campaigns and international campaigns to bring lanterns to Haiti, right, because they need help. They have no light over there. So the reason we came here today is because we really want to make a bigger impact in Abington, and we wanted to know who we should speak to in Abington so that we can know where we can make the biggest impact, whether it's cleanups, whether it's blood drives, whether it's social welfare, like raising money for the DARE program. We're happy we just want to make the biggest impact possible. We follow the example of Zhang Gil-ja. She's the founder in South Korea. So her efforts all the way over there have come all the way here and are making this great impact over the whole world. So the whole concept of our organization is to serve with the love of a mother. So we really just want to help. That's why we're here. So we were wondering if you could point us in the right direction for who can get involved with us and point us into where we're needed the most.
Do you have any literature you wanted to leave us?
Yes, sure, absolutely.
Could you leave it with the township manager to your right?
Yes, no problem. Thank you so much.
And as far as what direction to point you, I think we need to review what it is you do first before we point you anywhere.
Okay, great.
Because I don't quite understand exactly what you do.
Yeah, so we're a volunteer organization. So we
I understand that.
Disaster relief. We do Clean World Movement. So for example, on Sunday, you'll probably see on the news that we're going to be cleaning Broad Street with about 70 of our volunteers. So we do Clean World Movement, blood drives, disaster relief, and then social welfare. Social welfare can range from a number of things, but basically that's so that we can make the biggest impact at a local level. So it could be serving senior citizens, it could be serving children, like in terms of like reading to them or cleaning their parks. It really focuses on what the community's issue is. It could even be the relationships between farmers in the community, where we go and help them, pick fruit and everything like that. So it's really based on what the biggest need is locally, that one.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Whatever you have, you can leave it with the township manager.
Okay, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, any other comments from the public? If not, we'll have closing comments from the commissioners, and we'll start with Commissioner Tom Bowman.
Today is Flag Day, and on this date in 1777, the Second Continental Congress adopted the original design for the American flag as it was composed by our own Betsy Ross, I'm sorry.
Betty Ross.
Not Betty Crocker, that's Betty Ross.
It's not Betty Ross. It's that one.
Thank you.
Thank
So,
you, Commissioner
Happy
Bowman.
Flag Day.
Thank you. Commissioner Zapone.
Just a comment. We work very hard every year to balance our budget so we can take care of our residents here. And it's like tonight we're giving away all this free money. I just don't understand it. It's just puzzling to me. That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Gillespie.
Thank you. I just was going to say Happy Flag Day also. Hope everybody had their flag out. I can't believe I'm saying this, the 4th of July is before our next meeting. How can this be? So the Greater Glenside Patriotic Association Full Family Fun Day, starting with the children's program at the War Memorial in Cheltenham Township. Starts at 10 a.m., decorated bikes, races, decorated wagons, whatever. And they get also free food, hot dogs, drinks, and ice cream. And then we go to the parade that steps off at 4 o'clock. It is bigger than ever. We have more bands. It's going to be a wonderful parade. So we know it's going to be sunny. And then the fireworks at dark around 9 o'clock at the high school and the junior high. You can see it from anywhere just about in the township. So hopefully everybody will be there. You can go to the website too. Just look up Greater Glenside Patriotic Association. You'll find it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Vahey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Commissioner Gillespie for all her hard work and the committee of the 4th of July Parade. There is nowhere I'd rather be on the 4th of July than Glenside, and it's in a large part because of your efforts, and I thank you. Also, as the board's delegate to the EDC committee, I just want to update you. We have made our first grant under the Small Business Grant Program. It's $4,000 to Lang Chiropractic to improve the sign. It's on Oldrick Road across from the old Heckingers building. So we still have more money to approve if there's applicants who would like to improve their storefronts, signage, exterior landscape. Please contact the township, and we'd be happy to consider your application. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Vahey. Commissioner Spiegelman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Indeed, happy Flag Day. I want to say, Commissioner Rothman, the ceremony that I know you worked very hard to arrange in memorial to Captain Sam Schultz and in honor of his family was really moving. I mean, it's such a reminder, especially on a day like Flag Day and with the 4th of July approaching, that as so many serve our country in uniform, so too do their families serve. And as they sacrifice, including making the ultimate sacrifice, so too do their families sacrifice. So that was really a very moving ceremony. I wanted to thank Commissioner Bowman for standing in for me last week at committee meetings. I had a family emergency to attend to, so thank you very much, Commissioner Bowman, for stepping in. You did a great job. I watched you several times on video because it was a very spirited meeting. Coming up, I know my colleague from Ward 10 is going to talk about some great recycling events coming up, but I wanted to talk about an event coming up on Saturday, June 23rd at the Public Safety Training Facility on Flory Lane. There is going to be a rain barrel workshop courtesy of the Environmental Advisory Council. They're going to be teaching folks about rain barrels and also selling rain barrels. I think that's about it. Early happy 4th of July, everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner Spiegelman. Commissioner Hecker.
Thank you, President Luker. It will help if I turn my microphone on first. So no more excuses, right? So the next 2 weeks in the township, everyone will have the opportunity to clean out their houses. Starts this Saturday with the Anything with a Plug recycling event at the Township Yard on Flory Lane. It's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. You can see the attached flyer. I'm sure most of us will have it in our newsletters as well. Partnered with that event will be a canned food drive that benefits the Interfaith Food Cupboard, which is now located in Roslyn. And then the following week, the county is sponsoring a household hazardous waste collection at the junior high school from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, June 23rd. So think about where you could be by the 4th of July, getting rid of unused electronics and household waste. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Schreiber.
Thank you. I'd like to remind everybody that Monday, June 18th, this coming Monday, is when the Summer Youth Meal Program begins. So there's free lunch available for anybody 1 to 18 years old, so it's for all youth. Weekdays starting on Monday, it's 11:30 to 12:30, and it's at Crestmont Park, the clubhouse at Crestmont Park. So please tell people that you know, so that all the youth that are interested in getting those meals that will be able to get them. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shriver. Commissioner Myers.
Thank you. I would just like to thank Andy Oles and Jessica Foley and our manager for working to make some special accommodations for a young man, a child that who is special and will be able to enjoy the pools this year like everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Myers. Commissioner Grotzky.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no comment this evening other than to wish everybody a happy Flag Day and an enjoyable summer. Thank you.
Sir. Commissioner Rothman.
I want to thank everybody at the township who helped organize the ceremony at the beginning of the meeting tonight, so thank you very much. And to thank the elected officials who had representatives here tonight. That it was an emotional night for me, and I have relatively limited connection with the family. I've known them for a few years, and we're friendly. So it really is just one of those situations you never think you'll be in, and to even try to imagine what they've gone through and what so many other families around our country go through when their family members pay that ultimate sacrifice is just something that's unfathomable to me. So, you know, my thoughts are with the Schultz family and have been for the past few months. On a lighter note, but still on the theme of celebrating our country, the July 4th parade in McKinley, we will kick off at 9:15 a.m. with the national anthem, and then we'll go through the neighborhood in the parade, which is always really enjoyable for kids and families. Have some hot dogs, which I believe will be my duty again. Yep, okay. So if anybody gets sick from those, I apologize. No one got sick, so don't worry, that was a bad joke. And then we have multiple other aspects of that parade, which are very enjoyable. So I hope people will kick off their 4th of July with us at the McKinley Fire Station, show up a little bit before 9:15, and we'll see you throughout the township at many wonderful events that day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner DiPlacido.
Thank you, President Luker. And don't forget the peanuts. Bring your hard hat. They come down fast. I just wanted to congratulate all the Abington graduates today, especially my daughter, Milena, who will be moving on to 9th grade. I know it's not a different school, but that's high school to me. That's where high school starts in 9th grade. So congratulations, Milena. And kids are out, so give me a close-up, Nathan. There we go. Yes, the kids are out of school, and they're going to be all over our streets, our neighborhoods, our parks, trying to get to the parks, trying to get to the camps, get to the games. So when you're driving through here, everybody,
Drive like your kids live here.
thank you very much, President Luker.
Thank you, Jimmy DiPlacido. Commissioner Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. President. No comment this evening.
Commissioner Michael Thompson.
Everybody's invited to come out and join us this Saturday morning from 9 to 11 at the Edge Hill Fire Company on Limecombe Pike. We're going to be having coffee with a cop, so please feel free to come out and speak with our police and get to know us.
Thank you, sir. Vice President Klein.
Just happy Father's Day.
Thank you. You're the first one to say that.
And also to you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Yeah, everybody pays homage on Mother's Day, but Father's Day kind of goes under the radar screen. But anyway, recently we had a ribbon cutting for the new clubhouse over in Crestmont Park for the clubhouse, but we had a neighborhood dedication for that building to Mr. Johnny Palmer, who some of you who were there met, and it was very moving. And I want to thank Commissioner Myers, who was there, and from the township, who was there from the town? Mark Pennical, yes, was there. But it was a very moving event, and Mr. Johnny Palmer, who's a neighborhood fixture and a very caring young man, and dedicates his whole well-being to keeping the park clean, was very moved. And I want to thank our own Van Struthers for what he put into that building and to that event. And also, in closing, I just wanted to thank Commissioner Zappone for his presentation tonight, and specifically you, Commissioner Rothman. That was a very moving and well thought out, and thank you for putting that together and getting all the representatives to come in and make their presentations. So with that, if there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Can I make one more comment?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I forgot to congratulate the Abington High School graduates. They had a beautiful night last night, weather-wise, and it was a great ceremony. My granddaughter graduated. It
Thank you.
really was nice.
And one last Happy Father's Day. Good night, everyone.